Hey golfers, welcome back to my putting channel. I'm sure you've heard the concept of every putt being a straight putt. While I understand the sentiment and it can be helpful for some golfers, it can actually be harmful for others. So in this video, I'm going to share with you some green reading concepts and targeting concepts that hopefully is going to help you get better at reading greens and executing those breaking putts. So the first thing I'm going to share with you when it comes to reading a green and executing a breaking putt is before you pick your start line, I want you to start picturing what you think the ball is going to do and marking out points on the curve that are going to help you see if you're actually good at visualizing what the ball will do across the slope. So I've marked a spot here where I'm going to place my ball. You can get a chalk marker or similar and just mark a little spot with that. And then 2/3 of the way there, I'm going to place this ghost hole. Again, you could use a chalk marker, maybe a little sticker or similar. And I'm going to step back and see if I think that's a good visual for what I think the ball's going to do. I think that's a little bit low, so I'm making that adjustment. And that seems pretty good to me. So when I stand both behind the ball and over the ball, I can picture that ball tracking through that ghost hole and into the hole. So it's important to note this point here, where the ball is going to travel through on its curve, on its trajectory, rather than where we need to start the ball. Okay, so I'm going to base my start line off of my curve that I'm picturing. I don't see a lot of golfers doing this. I see golfers kind of picking a spot up by the hole, and they've come to that conclusion before they've even pictured what they think the ball is going to do. So it's really important to me, and I think this will help a lot of golfers if you visualize what the ball is going to do first, kind of stand over it and see if that matches, and then base your start line upon that. So to explain why I've put this ghost hole at 2/3 of the journey, 1/3 from the hole, a point that aim point would call drop point. I've placed it there because it's actually bang in between a straight line to the hole and your start line. In other words, in the first 2/3 of the putt, the ball is going to break the same amount as it does in the last third. And it's important to note this rule is only applicable when the slope is consistent from ball to hole. In other words, on a planar surface. Whether it's uphill, downhill, fast or slow, a lot of slope or just a little slope, this rule is pretty much always going to apply. So now, if I'm someone who likes to picture a straight line as my start line, I've got a really good idea of where I need to start the ball based upon that curve reference. And the first thing I'd encourage you to do is execute the putt and see if you've visualized it well and then calculated your start line appropriately based on that read. And you can see that was pretty good. Another important thing to understand, the curve that we are picturing is obviously based upon the pace that we want to hit the putt at. So if I wanted to hit this putt a little bit softer, my curve is greater, and then the appropriate start line is still the same distance away from the drop point as the straight line. So if I was to hold this putt, I'd have to hit it with less speed. Just a quick one, if you're watching this video then it's likely you're looking to improve your putting. And if that's the case, I'd encourage you to visit my website, jjputting.com. There you're going to find more information about me, the in-person lessons I do, the online lessons that I do, and the projects that I'm working on to help golfers around the world.
So visit the website JJ Putting to find out more.
Once you've established your picture of the curve, your read, and your start line that's appropriate, there's then a few other options that you have in terms of targeting. You can see if you are what is known as a linear putter or aimer, you can choose a point relative to the hole. So how far outside the hole do I need to aim? You could even pick a point relative to your drop point, or you can be a spot putter and pick a spot that's just in front of the ball that's also in line with your desired start line. And I'd encourage you to try all of those and see which one you feel like is most appropriate for you. And then alternatively, you might not be very good at aiming in a straight line on a breaking putt, and this is quite common amongst golfers, and you might actually be better at just trying to picture what the ball is going to do and then reacting to that. So here I'll stand here, picture the curve, and then just try and set up appropriately to that. If you're a linear aimer, you'll pick one of these points or a spot in front of the ball to aim at. Whereas personally, I'm a non-linear aimer, and actually I will unusually use a line on the ball, line up to where I think the start of the curve is, but I will not be looking at a straight line at all. I will be picturing what the curve is doing. I had an interesting conversation with an amazing putter on tour for years, David Howell, and he's the complete opposite. He picks this spot and then he doesn't even want to look at the hole when he executes. So there's multiple ways that you can do it. But for me personally, I'll be standing over the ball, I will have that line on the ball, and I'm saying, when I picture the start line for that curve, can I see it tracking into the hole at the pace that I want? That feels good, and then I'm going to hit the putt from there. So hopefully this has gone some way into helping you understand how to better read a green, maybe pick your start line based upon what the curve is doing, what you're visualizing the ball doing, and maybe messing around with some targeting preferences. Are you linear or non-linear? And then next time you get a breaking putt, you've got a better system, A for reading, B for alignment, that's going to see you hole a few more of these breaking putts.